Analysts at ARM expect the bullish trend at the Nigerian equities market to continue, driven by upcoming third quarter earnings with strong performance potential across consumer goods, agriculture, telecommunication and industrial goods sector. Callista Chileke, investment research analyst at ARM, joins me now to unpack the equities market performance so far and the near-term outlook. Callista, thanks a lot for joining us on the show today. It's quite the interesting row we're having here, 6 consecutive weeks of positive momentum. Let's walk through the drivers here and whether or not we can sustain this momentum.
Of course, major driver, like we alluded to, is the Q3 2025 earnings results. And a large part of that is investors trying to, just position in companies within sectors that they believe are going to, perform well, post strong results amid this current macroeconomic stability that we're seeing. So that's why our top sectors are the consumer goods, the agriculture, industrial goods, and telecommunication sector, because we believe that companies within those sectors have, potential upside.
And then looping in the loop now at this moment, where are we seeing buy interest? Dank Cement, I'm sure. Where do we see the interest at this moment?
Well, the interest, of course, is within those, those sectors. We expect their results to be positive. Consumer goods, industrial goods, feeding off the stable FX environment, and as well as the declining inflation environment. Inflation at 18.02%, below 20% mark, first time in 3 years, right? And that is a positive catalyst for investors within the equities market, right? And what we should expect is we should see some buying interest within companies within those sectors.
And when we're looking at the sectoral movement as well, now it's not so favorable for the banks at this moment.
Of course,
UBS recorded some losses.
Yeah. So UBA was actually up to date, but what we're seeing currently in the market would be, some investors just pricing in that, the CBN regulations, what we saw in their H1 2025 earnings results with the provision of forbearance loans, right? As well as a key attribute or a key factor that we saw in the banking results was normalization of the FX gains. So the stable FX environment, while it's good for some sectors, has caused some pain to the banking, some banking players, and that's why that's the sentiment.
But if you were to walk us through now your recommendations, where we should hold, buy, sell, what would that be? And then when we're also looking at the expectations, we are gradually counting down into November. Today is already the 20th. We're also expecting possibly another rate cut. How do you see that affect the attractiveness of the equities market at this moment going forward, making it much more luster?
Okay, for our recommendations within for to buy, to hold, for the consumer goods sector, we are confident in the brewers as well as the likes of staples, essential producers of essential products like Boafos, right? For the telecommunications sector, we are confident in MTN because we expect them to return to positive shareholders' equity, and management has also guided that there might actually be an interim dividend paid, and this will be the first one in a while as a result of their FX losses. But now they are back on their strong foot. So going into November 2025, the macro environment has provided a very strong, case for another rate cut. And what we're seeing in the fixed income market is yields have, started declining. They've sustained their downtrend, right? And that should bode well for the equities market.
So now, wrapping up the conversation, let's also talk about market cap, because we also see some interesting numbers movement here. Where do we also have the all-share index? Where do you expect it to close the year?
Well, we expect the market overall to close on a very positive note, right? Well, while there might be some, some profit taking here and there, as well as the impact of the new tax laws, right? That could also be a factor in the performance, the full year performance of the equities market. Overall, at ARM, we expect the market to close on a positive note.
Okay, Callista, we'll leave the conversation here for now. I think possibly we might also begin to gradually push to the sort of numbers Ghana is pulling at this moment, over 50% when we're looking at the yesterday performance. But we'll leave it here for now, Callista. Thank you so much for your time. That was Callista Chileke, investment research analyst at ARM.